Hi everyone, it's me. I'm back. It's been a while. It's been a few months, and I do apologize for the lag in time. After um, being situated in the same dwelling for 19 years, finally moved. It's been a while, so that was a big ordeal, and the dust is finally starting to settle. But of course, work schedules picking up, so finding the time to record has been quite a challenge. But I'm going to try to get us through this because it's one hell of an investigation, I'd say, and it's worth talking about. And they really did Prince wrong, is what it looks like through all of my reading. Okay, so the first thing that so we're picking up again with Detective Chris Wagner, and we read last time about Moline and Nurse Wright, who had some interesting things to say, but rather than go over, the same information again, I would like to just point something out that Vanessa and I were talking one day and sharing the investigation with each other. We were at different parts of Detective Wagner's report, and she was actually on page 104. Now, I don't think that we've pointed this out before, which is why I want to make it a point right now. If I am being redundant, I do apologize for that. But we noticed that on... Hold on. Okay. So one day, she and I were on the phone, we were talking, and we were sharing pieces of Detective Wagner's report in particular. And one of us was on page 104 of the investigation, which this is 214 pages long. The entire, from beginning to end, front to back of the investigation, is 214 pages. But we noticed that there's an awful lot of repetitive information, and we finally put it together that there's some cutting and pasting, some serious cutting and pasting going on. So on page 104, the first three numbered items are the same as page 159. Paragraph 212 is the same as page 104, paragraphs 1 through 3. And then on page 159, paragraph 213 is the same as paragraph 4 on page 104. Then the fifth paragraph on page 104 matches paragraph 214 on page 159. And so on and so on. Like, it goes on. So I guess what I want to say about that is, first of all, it was extremely lazy of whoever cut and pasted from whoever. Excuse me. This is all Chris Wagner, so I'm not sure why even include a duplicate. Like, why not just say it one time? What is the point? It feels like lettuce. Feels like a lot of lettuce. to be able to say in the end, oh, we came up with a 214-page report or collection of reports. We did our job. We're all done. But we're seeing evidence that was skipped over. We're seeing confiscation of important things such as swabbing the elevator and the computer, the communication tool that Prince used, confiscated days later with ample amount of time to get rid of any incriminating evidence. And that's exactly what happened. When they got the laptop back, it had been tampered with. Well, yeah, you gave them enough time. Okay, so I just wanted to point out the copy and pasting action. Okay. We are going to pick up on page 122 of the Carver County Sheriff's Office Prince Death Investigation Report, Wagner. On Thursday, 4/21/16 at approximately 10 a.m., I was requested to respond to Paisley Park Studios at 7801 Audubon Road in Chanhassen to assist in a death investigation. I was told the deceased was identified as Prince, later identified as 57-year-old Prince Rogers Nelson. Date of birth redacted. I was advised Prince was located in an elevator by his bodyguard / security manager Kirk Johnson after numerous attempts. There's two. And then what? Chilled for another over an hour before even going back to Paisley Park to check on him. But whatever. Numerous attempts to reach Prince by phone. Prince was found to be not breathing, and CPR efforts were unsuccessful. Prince Rogers Nelson was pronounced deceased at 10:07 a.m. I arrived on scene at 10:13 a.m. and made contact with Lieutenant Eric Kittleson and Sergeant Jason Brunage and Commander Paul Cheetah, who were on scene. I observed several parties inside of the lobby area who were off to the left as you enter Paisley Park, and they appeared to be mourning. One of the females, who was wearing a white hooded sweatshirt, was crying. She was later identified as Prince's personal assistant, Marone Bacure. Date of birth redacted. The other parties were later identified as Prince's longtime friend, bodyguard / security manager, Kirk Anthony Johnson. Date of birth redacted. The person who found Prince and Prince's recent doctor, Dr. Mike Schulenberg from North Memorial, as well as Andrew Bateson Kornfeld, date of birth redacted, a representative from California Treatment Center, Recover Without Walls. Also, Joshua Aaron Michael Welton, date of birth redacted, and who is one of Prince's producers and a fellow Third Eye Girl band member, and Joshua Welton's wife, Hannah Jean Welton. Date of birth redacted. All right, so that was really long and drawn out for me. So let's kind of. All right, so Marone, Kirk, Dr. Mike Schulenberg, Andrew Kornfeld, Joshua, Hannah, okay. So all them guys are mourning. All right. They're not talking to each other about what each other said to the police. They're not talking like off on the side behind another closed door. They're not doing anything shady. No one's got thousands of dollars of CD money in their purse that Prince may or may not have known about. No one's doing anything wrong. Everyone's upset about Prince. Right. I was advised that Prince was lying just outside of the elevator in the main lobby area. And I'm going to say this again because I really feel strongly about this point. Why would someone leave a loved one in an elevator all alone after discovering, let's pretend that what we've been told is not a lie, and that Kirk found Prince dead, and how traumatic that would be, and that there was nothing shady even going on, and that he was a good, he was Prince's good best friend. Why on earth would he leave him after finding his body? All right. I'm calling that out big time. All right. I was advised Prince was lying just outside of the elevator in the main lobby area. The elevator was hidden by the stairway that went to the second floor of the portion of Paisley Park where Prince called home. I later would learn that Paisley Park was somewhat split. The east side of the building was where Prince lived, and the west side of the building was where Prince conducted shows, played music, and had numerous sound studios for music production. Upon responding to the area of the elevator, I put on a pair of latex gloves. I observed Prince lying on his left side, face up, with his feet pointed towards the elevator and his head pointed east toward the lobby hallway. I observed Prince's right arm was draped across his abdomen and Prince's left arm resting on the floor in what I would describe as a 90-degree angle. Prince's face appeared moist. The temperature inside Paisley Park felt very warm. I later observed the thermostat was set at 75 degrees and there were space heaters positioned in various rooms which were turned on. I observed Prince was wearing a solid black Rasta style hat over his head, a black Under Armour sweatshirt which appeared to be cut. I later learned EMS cut Prince's sweatshirt while conducting CPR. A gray t-shirt under the black sweatshirt, black lounge athletic style pants, and black ankle socks. There was a black and tan colored decorative floor rug under Prince's body. Upon closer examination, I observed purpling around the left side of Prince's face, which appeared to be lividity setting in. I observed monitor-style pads on the inside of Prince's calves, above the ankles and on the inside of Prince's left wrist, which I was told came from a heart monitor EMS applied during life-saving measures. There was a mark which appeared to be an injection site into a vein on Prince's left forearm. There was bruising around the site approximately 1 centimeter in diameter. There was also a blue-colored bandage wrapped around Prince's right wrist. There was a bulge under the tape, which I would later find out from the autopsy were cotton pads used to absorb blood. I would later find out from Kirk Johnson that Prince had blood taken from the doctor the day prior, on the 20th, for testing. Both the injection site on the left arm and the blue bandage on the right wrist were believed to come from the doctor appointment the day prior. While examining Prince's body, I did not observe any discharge coming from Prince's mouth or any signs of trauma. I was advised the position of Prince's body had been moved from the elevator by EMS, who attempted CPR. Detective Sergeant DeWitt Meyer and Detectives Pat Murphy, Chris Nelson, and Angela Nucci arrived on scene. During that time, I learned that Prince's longtime friend and security manager, bodyguard, Kirk Johnson, was the person who located Prince. Okay, so I understand that everybody initially was told that, this scream came from Marone, who went with Kirk. So Kirk gets identified as the person who found Prince. But later on in the investigation, I just don't understand why, once Omar went to the police with, hey, people are acting weird and suspicious, and there's some funky things going on. And by the way, I was directly told that Kirk wasn't the one who found Prince. I just do not understand why, if a specific name was even given of the person who is said to have found Prince, why was there never any attempt? I mean, okay, so it says in the investigation that there was an attempt, but they gave up so easily, and they know how to get a hold of him. So I just don't understand why Kirk is being credited or identified as the person to have found Prince throughout this entire investigation, with the exception of what Omar reports to the police. That was never, we have no evidence whatsoever that was followed up on. That anything that Omar said, which was some pretty important criminal behaviors, and those were crimes, if what Omar is saying is true, that Manuela told him, those are punishable by law. And I think it's important. It's an important piece of the entire scheme of things. Like, what happened? Who found him? Where was he originally? Because he wasn't in no damn elevator. All right. Okay, so Detective Sergeant DeWitt Meyer and Detectives Pat Murphy, Chris Nelson, and Angela Nucci arrived on the scene. During that time, I learned that Prince's longtime friend and security manager / bodyguard, Kirk Johnson, was the person who located Prince. I learned that the party who contacted 911 was believed to be Andrew Kornfeld, whose father owned a California drug recovery center. I was told Kornfeld arrived from California overnight on a red-eye flight and was supposed to be having his first meeting with Prince on this date, 4/21/16, regarding treatment. I was told Prince had two morning appointments. One with Andrew Kornfeld and the other with Dr. Schulenberg, to discuss the results of the previous day's appointment. So we know that Schulenberg shows up the morning, like right after police show up on the 21st. And he looks at them and he says, It is a complete coincidence that I am here. And that just stands out to me like a sore thumb. Because what did Prince say? He said there are no coincidences. And here we've got someone showing up right in the thick of things. And he's going, total coincidence that I'm here. Except it wasn't, because he and Kirk had texted back and forth about how to get these test results from the night before to Kirk. And it's pretty difficult to believe that Paisley Park Studios doesn't have a fax machine. That's crazy talk. And even crazier that Dr. Schulenberg says, well, I'll bring it over. And Kirk says, all right. And he brings it over and the police are there. And he's like, whoa, total coincidence. And then there's a lot more coincidences, like an almost 20-year-long relationship between he and Kirk Johnson, who he's filling out prescriptions for, intending it to go to Prince. But this is probably the first time I've ever done anything like that, is what he told detectives. Like, who says that? You know if something is your first time versus if you've done it, 2 times or several times. All right, so I'm sorry. Okay, so we were on the part where Detective Wagner is being told that Prince had 2 morning appointments, one with Andrew Kornfeld and one with Dr. Schulenberg. But we know that he didn't have an appointment with Dr. Schulenberg. Someone's calling it an appointment. Whether that's Kirk, whether that's the police. Sorry, I have one tiny little hair. I'm gonna just, as soon as it comes, all right, it's gone. He didn't have an appointment with Dr. Schulenberg. Dr. Schulenberg simply got the results and was willing to bring him over there, and did bring him over there, but that was right in the middle of everything unfolding about Prince has died. And if he had an appointment with Andrew Kornfeld, let's go there. What time was that at? What time was an appointment? Because let's just look up the word appointment. Appointment. An arrangement to meet someone at a particular time and place. Time and place is an appointment. So that means that if he had 2 appointments, then there were 2 people that were going to meet him at a certain time and place. But there wasn't any appointment with either of them. Kirk and Marone are having breakfast with Andrew Kornfeld, a rep. He's simply there, according to what he's telling authorities. He's just there to try to, convince Prince to go to California with him and leave with him. Where were Andrew and Kirk when they were calling each other when they were supposed to be together having breakfast? Where were they? That's a very good question. It's legit. Kirk and Andrew are supposed to be together, yet they are calling each other. Why? Then a long time after that, they go to Paisley Park, and everyone's got a different time in mind of what time it was when they got to Paisley Park. I remember Andrew saying 9 or 9:15. And then there's discrepancies about what time Marone and Kirk leave the night of the 20th. And then we've got Dr. Schulenberg, who doesn't remember what day of the week it is, or doesn't write his notes when the events are fresh in his mind. He waits until the next day to... I mean, I understand as a doctor you have to draw the line somewhere. But, I mean, that's pretty important. And they're all important. They're all people. But I would just think that extra precaution would be used in Prince's case. But apparently not. Okay, so Dr. Schulenberg can't remember this, he can't remember that, but he just kind of he does these maybe probably statements, and he's confused. I'm trying to remember what he was talking about when he last saw Prince, or when he prescribed medication for Prince, and he forgot about two different sets of prescribing medication to Prince, or for Prince. So a lot of I don't remember, and then I was just listening to Vanessa's video, and we're talking to, let's see, Chris Gaither, and let's see, there's stuff that everyone can't remember, and I get it that no one's got a perfect memory or anything, but there's a lot of I don't remember, and half truths mixed in with blatant lies, and that's why this is such a mess, I think. All right. All right, so I was told Prince had 2 morning appointments, one with Andrew Kornfeld and the other with Dr. Schulenberg, to discuss the results of the previous day's appointment. Kirk stated when he was unable to reach Prince by phone that Kirk, Andrew, and Marone responded to Paisley Park. I was told Kirk contacted Joshua and Hannah Welton, who also lived in Chanhassen, after he located Prince's body. The Weltons, in turn, responded to Paisley Park. Based on the small area inside the lobby and the placement of Prince's body, it was determined that interviews of Andrew, Marone, and Dr. Schulenberg, along with Joshua and Hannah Welton, be moved to the Chanhassen City Hall. I was advised that detectives Chris Nelson and Pat Murphy would begin conducting those interviews. I was advised Detective Nucci was instructed to respond to the sheriff's office in Chaska to begin writing a search warrant in order to search and process the death scene, as it was an unwitnessed death. Okay, so we just got an answer to one of my questions anyway. Why does there need to be a search warrant right then and there when the police are already on the premises? And right here it does say I was advised that Detective Nucci was instructed to respond to the sheriff's office in Chaska to begin writing a search warrant in order to search and process the death scene as it was an unwitnessed death. I assisted in clearing the building to ensure that there were no other occupants in the building or any other scenes. Together, Sergeant Meyer, Sergeant Brunage, Kirk Johnson, Prince's bodyguard, who had door keys, yet he don't know where the keys to the safe are at, and I began to clear the building. On the second floor, down the hallway from one of Prince's bedrooms and a dressing room was a black leather jacket and a black pair of leather gloves that were lying on the floor of the hallway. Kirk said Prince wore that jacket, described as black leather vest with fringes, and the gloves last night when they went to the doctor appointment. The black leather gloves had Prince's sign embroidered on them. Kirk did not know why the clothing was lying in the hallway, but confirmed that the clothing belonged to Prince and that Prince was found to be wearing the same clothing he had on the previous day. Kirk explained Prince was a night owl, and it would not be unusual for Prince to be wearing the same clothing as the night before because Prince would usually sleep during the day and may have never gone to bed. Okay. So now, if you're paying attention to page numbers, we're on page 124 of the investigation. Paragraph 9. While walking through Paisley Park clearing the building, Kirk told me Prince's only living next of kin. Kirk told me Prince's only living next of kin was his sister, Tyka Nelson, and that he had attempted to notify her by phone but was unsuccessful. Huh. He was unsuccessful. So then, who told Tyka again? Because I always thought that it was Kirk. I remember her saying, it was 2-second phone call, he's gone, and the call ended. So I'm not sure if Kirk was unsuccessful, then who said those words to her? Because it wasn't Maurice. Okay. Upon learning that Kirk had been unable to reach Tyka by phone, I broke away from clearing the building as we were coming to the end and responded to the lobby entry point where I had cell phone coverage. I contacted Sheriff's Dispatch and requested address information on Prince's sister, Tyka Nelson, so that we would be able to deliver a death notification prior to the information getting leaked. Yet there's a leaked picture of his dead body on the news, but okay, the night of. I learned from dispatch that they were able to locate a possible address for Tyka Nelson at blah blah blah. I contacted Deputy Adam Hastings for assistance in the notification. Deputy Hastings and I cleared the scene at 11:12 a.m. to conduct the notification. As I was driving towards Minneapolis, I was contacted by Sergeant Meyer and requested to return to assist in interviews. I provided the possible address of Tyka Nelson to Deputy Hastings and responded back to Paisley Park at 11:17 a.m. At approximately 11:26 a.m., I met with Hennepin County Crime Scene Lieutenant Todd Turpett, as well as Sergeant Kevin Schwartz and Sergeant Shane Magnuson and Sergeant Sarah Buck, who arrived on scene to assist with documenting and processing the death scene. I provided initial call and investigative information to crime scene team who were waiting for the search warrant to be executed prior to taking initial photos. Interview with Kirk Anthony Johnson. Date of birth redacted. On April 21st, 2016 at 11:50 a.m., I met with Prince's bodyguard Kirk Anthony Johnson, date of birth redacted, who agreed to provide a statement. Kirk said he first met Prince in 1984 as a dancer in Purple Rain. Kirk said from 1989 to 1992 he was a band member, and from 92 to 96 he assisted with drums and producing. From 97 to 2000, Kirk was again a drummer in Prince's band. Kirk said he left for a short time to pursue a career as a health and fitness instructor from 2000 to 2009. And that's not a short time. That's 9 years. From 2009 to present, he was hired as Prince's building, property, and security manager. Prince's building, property, and security manager. That's really an interesting title. Nowhere in there do I see like caregiver or anything like that. Building, property, and security manager. All right. Kirk said Prince's manager was Phaedra Ellis Lampkins, date of birth redacted, who had taken another job in California a year prior and had not yet been replaced. Kirk said the only other people other than himself who frequent Paisley Park on a daily basis were Marone and Ray Roberts, Prince's chef. I asked about Prince's medical history. Kirk said he did not know all of Prince's health background, but stated he started to figure it out when he was flying back from Atlanta that he, Prince, passed out unconscious. And it scared me so. Or I guess it could be read, and it scared me so... ... I don't know. The writing in this entire investigation is stupid. So sometimes you wonder if it's on purpose. Sometimes you think, wow, that person wasn't very bright when they wrote that, or that was a really long drawn out way to say something so simple, or vice versa. You should have elaborated on that, you know. What do you mean I ended the phone call? It's very, very frustrating. Okay. So, Kirk said Prince had a concert in Atlanta on Thursday, April 14th, 2016. Kirk said that they flew down there for the concert and headed back right after. Kirk said Prince had one of his best concerts. The concert ended around 11:30 p.m. Kirk said he, Prince, and Judith Hill boarded the plane to head back to Minnesota. Kirk said he was asleep when Judith woke him up and told Kirk something's wrong with Prince. Kirk said he found Prince was unconscious. Kirk said he tried to wake Prince up but couldn't and requested the plane make an emergency landing. The plane landed at Quad City International Airport in Moline, Illinois. Kirk said Prince went to the hospital in Moline, Illinois, and they gave him something to take him out of the unconsciousness. Kirk told me during the interview with the doctor that Prince admitted he took 1 or 2 pain pills. And really, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt here when I say this. Prince admitted he took 1 to 2 pain pills, which Kirk thought were called naloxone. Naloxone is sold under the brand name Narcan, which the paramedics used to treat Prince. I believe Kirk was confused when he told me Prince took naloxone. Kirk said he did not know if Prince had a prescription and did not have any other information regarding where Prince was obtaining the pain medication. Well, now that is the most blatant lie that Kirk tells, other than, yeah, he's got a real problem. I just learned this week. Like, what? What? Kirk said he did not know if Prince had a prescription and did not have any other information regarding where Prince was obtaining the pain medication. Isn't it a crime to lie to the police? Especially when someone has died. Okay. Kirk told me the doctor who was in the lobby when we arrived was actually Kirk's doctor, Dr. Mike Schulenberg, and that Kirk contacted Dr. Schulenberg for Prince last week because Kirk was concerned about Prince's health after the incident on the plane. I shake my head because they're getting partial information right here. The truth is, all month long, Prince has been seeing Dr. Schulenberg since the 7th. Kirk contacted Dr. Schulenberg for Prince last week because Kirk was concerned about Prince's health after the incident on the plane. Kirk said Prince continued to complain about being dehydrated and had tingling in his arms, so Kirk urged Prince to see a doctor. All right, so let's take Schulenberg and Kornfeld right out of the equation. Well, Kornfeld normally wouldn't be in the equation, but Phaedra brought Howard Kornfeld in because Phaedra's sister got help from Dr. Schulenberg, or from Dr. Schulenberg at the treatment center in California. So if we took Kornfeld, both of them, and Schulenberg out of the picture, what is Kirk urging Prince? Who is Kirk urging Prince to see? Who does Prince normally see? A doctor here, a doctor there, like everywhere a doctor, like just different, constant changing, different doctors every time? Would this be like the doctor, the same call that they would make if he wanted a vitamin B12 shot? I'm just really curious about that. What's the normal protocol for getting a doctor on board for Prince? Because if Kirk is the one that would set that up, then why would he need to urge Prince to see a doctor? If Prince was asking to see a doctor, then Kirk wouldn't be urging him to see one. But it's not Prince that would be reaching out to a doctor, would he? Or isn't that what his personal assistant would be doing? So then maybe Kirk is just urging Prince for permission to set that up. But again, I think that wouldn't that be on Marone? Wouldn't that be Marone's responsibility then to set up a doctor's appointment? Or would Prince do that himself? Because when he, okay, Kirk said a week before the emergency plane landing that Prince was seen by Dr. Schillenberg and given fluids because he wasn't feeling good. Kirk said Prince was complaining about the tingling in his arms and being dehydrated and needing fluids. Kirk said he took Prince to the 212 Ridgeview Emergency Center a few years ago when Prince was complaining that he was really dehydrated and needed fluids. Kirk said he believed Prince was fine after that. Kirk told me that recently Prince was looking a little frail, but that he always kind of goes up and down. Kirk said Prince was a very good eater. He's a very good eater, huh? That's never what I've heard. But I'm not close to Prince, and I admit that, but that's just... Okay. That he would normally eat lunch and dinner. He was a vegetarian who would sometimes eat eggs and fish. Kirk said Prince was not someone to eat breakfast, so there would be no reason for the cook to come to Paisley this early. Kirk said Prince would occasionally drink alcohol, usually wine, but that Prince was not a big drinker. Well, then how can it be usually wine if he's not a big drinker? Kirk explained Prince was a night guy who was very private, even from Kirk. Kirk said Prince would be sending texts or emails at 2, 3 a.m. Text messages? Texts or emails? Okay. All right. Kirk denied Prince owned a cell phone. Kirk said that Prince communicated by email and landline phone numbers only. The phone in the bedroom, the phone in the kitchen were the numbers that Kirk would call when he needed to talk to Prince. Kirk explained how Prince would have an assistant who would handle Prince's affairs, so Prince didn't need to have a cell phone. So does that answer that question I was just asking a minute ago about who sets up a doctor's appointment for Prince and who would normally be on the doctor's list? How to determine who gets to be Prince's doctor? Who determines that? Is it Kirk? Is it Marone? Is it Prince? Is it the Yellow Pages? No, that's out of date. I mean, was there a list of available doctors? I'd really like to know that one. But what I'm trying to get at in this little tiny point that I'm making is that Prince would use whoever's phone he was with if he needed to talk to someone. Otherwise, he don't need to handle nothing. He don't need to talk to anybody. So then someone's doing that for him, which means making a doctor's appointment. Which means that the person who would be in charge of that responsibility is still alive and could tell us if they cared. All right. Kirk continued to state that during the evening of the emergency plane landing, he believed Prince stayed at the hospital until around 9 a.m. the following morning of Friday, April 15th, 2016, because they were waiting for another jet to pick them up. Kirk said he did not see Prince every day. It was only when Prince needed something. Kirk said when they landed in Minnesota, Prince and Judith Hill drove off in one vehicle and Kirk left in another. Kirk said the next day, Saturday, April 16th, 2016, that Prince hosted a dance party with approximately 250 to 300 people because Prince wanted everyone to know that he was okay. Kirk said that Prince seemed fine during the party and did not see anything out of the ordinary. Kirk said Prince did not perform, but that wasn't unusual for a dance party. Kirk told me he did not see Prince on Sunday, April 17th, 2016. Kirk did not think he saw Prince again until Tuesday evening, the 19th, around 8 o'clock to 8:30, when they had a meeting with Prince and Larry Graham and Marone and Kirk. Kirk said that Prince had canceled shows on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of that week, the 18th through the 22nd, because of what happened in Atlanta, and they were trying to urge Prince to take a break. And Kirk said Prince was the one who wanted the help. Prince was the one who wanted the help, and they urged Prince to get a physical exam by a doctor. So if Prince is the one that wanted the help, why is anyone urging Prince to get a physical exam? Isn't that kind of a no-brainer? I don't know, man. This just doesn't seem very convincing to me. That was why Kirk made the appointment with Dr. Schulenberg. It feels like I'm almost being brainwashed. They're trying. That's why Kirk made the appointment with Dr. Schulenberg. No. Kirk made the appointment with Dr. Schulenberg because there was a problem going on. Regardless, Prince wasn't feeling good. And I don't know what the other motive is here. I feel like the motive is money. At the end of all of this, it all comes down to dollars. Seems to be the biggest motivating factor here. That vault. All right. According to Kirk, on Wednesday, April 20th, 2016, the day after the meeting, they reached out to Recovery Without Walls to get an evaluation. The doctor, Howard Kornfeld, was unable to meet with Prince, so Howard was sending out his son, Andrew Kornfeld. Kirk said Prince was a very private person and hid it well. Kirk said no one would talk about it and believed people were scared to talk about it. Kirk told me that he did not know where Prince was obtaining the narcotic medications. Kirk told me that Prince never asked Kirk to get a prescription for him. I would later find out this information contradicts the statement provided by Dr. Schulenberg when Dr. Schulenberg admitted to Detective Chris Nelson that he gave a prescription for Percocet to Prince, but put the prescription in Kirk Johnson's name at Kirk's request because Prince did not want to be tied to the narcotic prescription. Kirk told me he did not know Prince was addicted to pain medications, but that it was all making sense after watching Prince's change in behavior and his moods. Kirk told me he knew Prince had hip pain after having surgery on his left hip several years ago. Kirk said Prince did not have a regular doctor, and that is why Kirk contacted his doctor, Dr. Schulenberg, for help. Well, what the hell kind of help is getting somebody pain meds? What is that? If all of a sudden the Moline all happens and you know that, let's just pretend, let's say that you just found out that your friend has a severe problem. He's got a real addiction. And you don't know really where he should go, so you turn to your own doctor who you've got a long-term relationship with. Long time, like almost 20 years. Are you going to ask then to make the problem worse for your friend by getting more problem pills? That doesn't make any sense. None. None. All right. Kirk said he originally contacted Dr. Schulenberg approximately a week before Atlanta concert / emergency landing. Kirk said Dr. Schulenberg initially came to Paisley Park and then instructed Prince. So here we go again. Instructed Prince to go to the clinic. So before he said I transported him and I arranged for him to come in and Kirk brought him in. And now here we go with he instructed Prince to go to the clinic on the 7th. So that's interesting. Okay. I just wanted to point that out. They change everything all the time throughout this investigation. Nothing is consistent except for the inconsistencies. So, Kirk said Dr. Schulenberg initially came to Paisley Park and then instructed Prince to go to the clinic to get fluids, picked up Prince. To get fluids. Kirk said on Wednesday, April 20th, 2016, Prince had his second appointment with Dr. Schulenberg. Kirk picked up Prince around 4:45 p.m. and they responded to North Memorial for an appointment with Dr. Schulenberg at 5 o'clock p.m. Kirk said the doctor took blood and urine samples along with Prince's vitals. Kirk told me that Dr. Schulenberg coincidentally again, there we go again, was at Paisley Park on this date to talk with Prince about the test results. So it's a coincidence that I'm here, but we have an appointment. Wow, I really feel like words are just being thrown around because coincidentally is not planned, right? It just happens to be, wow, I didn't even plan that. It's a coincidence. But they're trying to push this Prince had 2 appointments bullshit on the 21st, and it's just a lie. It's a lie. But okay, so Kirk told me that Dr. Schulenberg coincidentally was at Paisley Park on this date to talk with Prince. To talk with Prince now. I'm trying so hard to remember the part where Schulenberg and Kirk are texting each other and Schulenberg says anything about having a conversation with Prince. Because I thought he was just trying to give the test results and that was it. maybe the test results would... No, because the test results were okay. There wasn't all this shit in his system that they found after he died. He didn't have U47700. He didn't have fentanyl. He didn't have lidocaine. He didn't have my brain is starting to melt. He had Dilaudid and something that was prescribed by Schulenberg. So, and the Dilaudid was tapering off, wasn't it? All right. So, okay. All right. So, Kirk said the doctor took blood and urine samples along with Prince's vitals. Kirk told me that Dr. Schulenberg coincidentally was at Paisley Park on this date to talk with Prince about the test results. The doctor told Kirk there was evidence that Prince was on something. A thought just kind of dawned on me. What if Prince had no idea that Schulenberg was coming over and that was a complete lie from Kirk to cover his own ass? He could have been meeting with Schulenberg without Prince involved. I'm just saying. It's a possibility. The doctor told Kirk there was evidence that Prince was on something. During the appointment on the 20th, Prince told the doctor that he was taking Tylenol, but according to Kirk, Prince told Dr. Schulenberg that Prince didn't know what kind. Well, now, again, I really want to know if that has anything to do with the Tylenol 3s with codeine, because that right there, maybe Prince thought when he was physically taking the Tylenol that he was taking regular Tylenol, and maybe they were Tylenol 3s, but no, that can't be true, because in the garbage was the Tylenol 3s. All of them were there, plus 5 were added to the bottle. Okay. Here we go. All right, Kirk told me after the appointment at North Memorial on the 20th, they stopped at Walgreens at Highway 101 and Highway 7 around 7 o'clock p.m. to fill a prescription the doctor gave Prince to calm and help the jitters. I'm just thinking 7 o'clock p.m. and the doctor's appointment was at 5, and it takes, what, a half hour for the IV? I'm just trying to kind of map that out a little bit. That seems like almost weird timing. Okay. Okay. So 7 o'clock to fill prescription, and the doctor gave to Prince to calm him down and help the jitters. Kirk said Prince took one of the pills and it wasn't working. And said it wasn't working. Kirk told me Prince did not want to take the rest of the pills because Prince said it wasn't helping. Kirk initially said he thought he threw the pills away, but then recalled that he thought he kept the prescription pills in case Prince wanted to take them in the future. Well, that sounds a little bit slow to me, because if he's not trying to take them now, why would he take them later? And what is the point of saving them if you're not planning to take them? So, Kirk, were you going to take the pills? Is it you that has a problem? What is going on here? Why are the pills at your house? Why? If Prince ain't willing to take the rest of the pills because it's not helping, then what would ever make him think that it would be a good idea to take one of those ever again? If it didn't help now, when is it going to ever help? And for what? So I'm just not sure why there's pills at Kirk's house, but nonetheless, he believes that the prescription pills are at his house, and said that there were 3 prescriptions, but that he couldn't recall what they were. Well, maybe that's because there's so many damn prescriptions going on that you can't keep them all straight. Kirk later gave consent for his aunt, Charlene Hayes, to retrieve the prescription pills issued to Prince and release them to me. Well, damn, the next time that I'm in trouble, can I just call my aunt? Can she help me? Kirk said after they filled the prescriptions, he dropped Prince off at Paisley Park around 7:45 to 8 o'clock p.m. And that was the last time he talked to Prince Nelson. Kirk said the clothes Prince was found wearing, along with the jacket and gloves on the floor upstairs, were the same clothing Prince was wearing when Kirk dropped Prince off after the doctor appointment. Kirk told me Prince wanted to get help. Kirk said, "It pisses me off. How did he hide this so well?" Kirk said, again, that Prince was very private. So we're going to do the private thing, okay? Meeting planned for today was to meet with Andrew Kornfeld from Recovery Without Walls. Kirk said, meeting planned for today was to meet with Andrew from Recovery Without Walls. What time was that ever going to happen? Just when Prince wakes up, you're going to bombard him with, let's talk about your problem? You need to go to California? No. Kirk said something didn't feel right this morning. Kirk said he tried calling Prince's room and kitchen along with sending an email, and Prince never responded. Kirk said there is no security system. Kirk said there is no security system. Kirk said at one point there was, but that Prince was very self-conscious of being watched and shut it off. What? What? That security system is Prince's. That's for him to watch you, not for you to watch him. But it's interesting that Kirk has this perspective. There is no security system. There was, but Prince was self-conscious, and he didn't want to be watched, and so shut it off. There are surveillance cameras and keypads surrounding the property. However, they were not operational. Carver County, Chris Wagner, I beg the question, did you look at those cameras? Did you inspect them? Did you make sure that they were not operational? Were they broken or were they turned off? Kirk told me the gate has a remote like a garage door opener, and there was no way to track people coming in and going out. No way. All right. Kirk said, other than himself, Prince's closest people in his circle lately were Marone, Phaedra, Larry, Tyka, Josh, and Hannah. What about Judith? Kirk said Andrew Kornfeld and Prince never met. Kirk told me Prince was the one who wanted help, and that is why they got Andrew on a plane right away to come out and assess Prince. So Andrew's supposed to assess Prince now? Because before I thought he was supposed to convince him to go to California. But now we're talking about an assessment? How was he going to assess Prince? Was he going to take a quiz? Was he going to physically check him out? Was he going to do some questions and answers? Was he going to... What measures his need for help for Andrew to recognize that Prince should come with him? Or was it already decided? Because it sounded to me like it was already decided when Andrew came out to Minnesota that he was there to do one thing, and that was convince Prince to come back to California with him. So what's up with this come out and assess Prince now? So he got on a plane right away to come out and assess Prince. Kirk said Andrew had flown in this morning, and they met him at the hotel and brought him out to Paisley. Okay. That sounds to me like breakfast was at the hotel. If the only places that they're mentioning right now are the hotel and Paisley Park, then chances are pretty likely that they had breakfast at the hotel. See, sometimes it's after you learn a little bit or you get smarter in one way or another, and then you revisit what you've already read, it's like reading it for the first time. You see it a little bit differently, with a little bit different of perspective, you know? And that's what just happened, is that it looks to me, after reading this in particular, Kirk told me Prince was the one who wanted help, and that is why they got Andrew on a plane right away to come out and assess Prince. Kirk said Andrew had flown in this morning, and they met him at the hotel and brought him out to Paisley to meet with Prince. This information correlates with... This information correlates with records at Minneapolis International Airport. I contacted an agent with the Department of Homeland Security who was able to confirm that Andrew Kornfeld flew into Minneapolis on April 21st, 2016 on Delta Flight 0677 originating from San Francisco, California. The flight departed San Francisco at 12:19 a.m. and arrived at Minneapolis Airport at 5:53 a.m. on 4/21/2016. According to the agent, this was the first trip Andrew Kornfeld made to Minnesota in over a year, according to flight records. So, what that says to me is that he's been to Minnesota before, but not in the past year. Just saying. My interview with Kirk Johnson continued to get interrupted, so I asked if we could meet again to get more specifics. Oh my god. This is so frustrating to read. And don't worry, I'm okay. But when I look at this again, I'm just flabbergasted and pissed because all right, so I compare investigating, actively investigating, like questioning somebody. I kind of see a correlation between that and like parenting. Like when my child does something naughty and I need to gather my evidence and facts and the questions that I choose to ask my child are pretty important. I don't lead them to an answer. I want the truth. So when I'm asking questions, I don't hint, I don't suggest, I don't give them an answer that I have him tell me the facts of what happened. And I just don't understand why this detective, whatever their damn title is, the bottom line is they're law enforcement, and the last time that I checked, law enforcement has authority. And when you are a person of the law, you are an authority figure, you're counted on to take control of the situation. And if your interview, Chris Wagner, is being interrupted, you do not end that interview and hope and pray that this guy's going to be willing to get together again to give you all the deets on what happened or anything that might pertain to the death investigation. Because if you give them time, first of all, they're going to divert you from the truth they'll develop a lie. You'll give them enough time. Secondly, the desire, I imagine, would decrease as time goes by. Why would they want to get together with you? What would motivate them to get up and take time out of their day to come answer a bunch of questions about a subject they don't want to talk about, whether they're guilty or innocent, whether they played a role or they didn't in someone's death, but especially either way. So the idea that I'm trying to spit out here is that Chris Wagner gives Kirk a total get out of jail free card. Hey, since we keep getting interrupted, instead of going over to, who the interrupters are and saying, hey, I'm conducting an interview and I need you to, buzz off for a minute or sit tight or whatever the hell they like to say to people to get them to wait while they go do something really important, that didn't happen here, clearly. And it's not the first time either. Remember way back when the paramedics kept interrupting, what was it, Marone's interview, and it was hard to hear Kirk, and it's like, look, I get it that chaos is going on all around because Prince just died. Raw emotions and chaos and confusion and just all of that. I get it. However, these people that were in leadership roles of authority did not contain the area physically. They did not lead. They didn't lead. And it's such a letdown. It's such a letdown because they could have gotten the truth. And maybe they have the truth and they're just not sharing it with us, which would be really sad, because why did they bother giving us access to the death investigation if they were going to take away 100 of the most important items out of the case? There should be full transparency, considering the fact that Prince was well known for taking good care of his body and then turned around and died of a supposed fentanyl overdose along with lidocaine and pinky. And we're talking Percocet and Vicodin. We're talking all sorts of drugs. And yet there's something that's a secret while at the same time he's being called a junkie. I could understand it a little bit better if the secret was that he was a junkie. But they're trying to do, hey, Prince is a junkie, and you don't get to know the whole truth of what happened because he was a private guy. Except for he died under really strange circumstances. And it's caused a lot of pain for people, because someone that we know he didn't do drugs is now the poster child for the opioid crisis. And the pill bottles were a random little game of Russian roulette. Each and every one of those pill bottles was. And that's another thing. How can you call yourself the DEA or the police or a hospital or a doctor or a lieutenant